Welcome to week 2 of becoming perfectly healthy. This week is all about perfecting our sleep and our mental health.
This week our goal for sleep was to get about 8 to 10 hours, to get to bed about 11 o'clock every night, and to wake up around 8 o'clock in the morning. For mental health, we did some meditation, we wrote in our journal, we talked about our feelings. We also picked up some of the things that we did from last week that are also good for mental health, like our exercise and our water intake. If you're not yet subscribed to us and you'd like to follow along with us on this journey to becoming perfectly healthy, go ahead and click that subscribe button below, and while you're at it, click the notification bell also so you know every time we upload a new video.
As you can imagine, it's not super interesting to watch us meditate or write in our journal or sleep, so we're just going to talk a little bit about how things went.
It was pretty difficult to get into a habit of getting to sleep at 11 o'clock. I noticed that every night I pretty much had to force myself to go to bed at 11.
I couldn't even force myself to go to bed at 11. I tried, I got in bed at 11, but I wasn't able to fall asleep at 11 any of the nights. The last night of the challenge, I actually fell asleep at around 11:30, which was my best time, and then I still woke up at 8:30. But the nights before that, I had a hard time, and I was pretty tired throughout the day because I was falling asleep at around midnight or 12:30, and then I was waking up at 8 or 8:30.
Yeah, I was pretty inconsistent. I think I actually usually fell asleep pretty close to when I went to bed, because I fall asleep pretty quickly, just normally, even though it was a lot earlier than normal. But what I had most of a hard time with was my waking schedule. Sometimes I'd wake up at like 6 o'clock, and other times I'd wake up at 8:30 or 9. So I was really having a hard time adjusting to that.
So I think what we can say is if you're trying to perfect your sleep schedule, don't do it in 1 week. It takes longer than that.
Yeah, give yourself some time to get used to it.
But I can say that last night when I did fall asleep at around 11:30 and woke up at 8:30, I feel good today, so.
I think today and maybe yesterday I had a really good sleep, and so finally also I'm getting used to it and starting to get a lot better sleep and feel better. So I think the strangest thing that we did this week was the meditation. That's something that I had never tried before, and I did okay at it. I did it every night, but it was just a little bit weird to be sitting there by myself, just kind of concentrating on my breathing in and out. And it was actually kind of hard to do that. I felt or noticed my mind wandering every single time I did it. It's time for some meditation. That's not exactly how I do it. Well, actually, I've never done it before, so I don't know. I don't have a way of doing it, but I'm going to be following a process on a website called Be Mindful. And their premise, which may be similar for all other ways of meditation, is the point is to become mindful, which in, I guess, simple terms is to be aware of your own thoughts and feelings and your state of mind. And that is supposed to be extremely helpful for good mental health. So it's a pretty simple process. Basically, you pick a spot that's comfortable that you can sit for 5 or 10 minutes. You can do it longer, but it says for beginners to start at 5 or 10 minutes. And basically, you're just closing your eyes and you're concentrating on your breath in and your breath out. And of course, your mind will wander during that process. And when your mind wanders, you simply bring your thoughts back to your breath in and your breath out. So you do that for 5 or 10 minutes. And at the end, you're more in tune with your thoughts and your body and your emotions and your mind. So that's what I'm going to be doing here for the next 5 or 10 minutes.
I didn't really do it right. I tried to do it right, but I couldn't just in the time that we had. But I actually did like it, and I think I had good results from it, even though I wasn't doing it correctly. You're supposed to just focus on your breathing, and my mind just kept wandering. But I think it was nice to just have a little break and have some quiet and just be able to think, even though you're not really supposed to. So I think it ended up being good for my health, even though I wasn't doing it correctly.
So some of the other stuff that we did was writing in our journal every day. We talked about our feelings with people like my wife, and I think you probably talked to the same person, which happens to be his mom. And we also did, some more exercise and try to keep up on our water. I didn't drink as much as I did last week, 124 ounces every day.
That's a lot.
But I definitely drank more than I normally do. And I definitely exercise more than I normally do. In fact, I think I exercised every single day last week.
I think I missed one day, but I exercised mostly every day.
Yeah.
We also took our measurements so we can compare the before and after of this week, and not much changed. Our weight went up by a couple pounds, But after last week of perfecting our water intake and our exercise routine, that was expected, as this week was not as much focused on that.
The measurements really didn't change over this week, but we expect some pretty drastic changes next week. We'll talk about that in a little bit as we get into what's going to happen next week. But as far as this week goes, some of the other things that I noticed, in fact, I was kind of wondering, with all this mental health stuff that I was doing, were there really any changes? And I couldn't really tell myself that much. So I asked my wife, and she said one thing that she noticed was that I was a lot more calm this week. She said that I was a lot more patient this week. So apparently the mental health stuff actually did help. As far as I'm concerned, even though this wasn't a very exciting week for mental health and sleep, I think it was still successful.
For sure.
And yeah, I felt like there were still some positive benefits to it. But if you want to see exciting, stay tuned for what's going to happen next week, because it's going to be crazy. Our next week's challenge is a super crazy diet challenge. We're going for complete whole food diet.
No processed foods.
No processed foods. The closest thing I've done to this, which was really, really challenging, was a 30-day no sugar diet. And that was kind of insane. This is going to make that look like child's play. This week, we're also going to be perfecting our social health, which is also super important for a good, healthy person, a good, healthy lifestyle. But for those of you that want to follow along with us, we're going to talk just a little bit about what our diet is going to look like, because, like I said, it's going to be insane. We're not going to be able to eat the normal foods that pretty much every American eats. One of our staple foods is cereal. We can't have any cereal for the next 2 weeks. We also can't have bread. We can't have
milk or any dairy products, really. No yogurt, no cheese, nothing like that. Of course, no ice cream.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Or no
Speaking
desserts.
of ice cream, yeah, these tasty little guys, no junk food at all. So this is going to be quite insane. Some of the foods that we can eat, basically any whole food, like fruits and vegetables, non-processed meats we can eat. Some grains like oats and rice, brown rice, we can eat.
And I think one of my main foods is going to be eggs, because eggs are good for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner. There's scrambled eggs, there's fried eggs,
Omelets.
all sorts of eggs. So
Yep. So we're going to be throwing eggs into everything. Probably a lot of potatoes as well, because those are good fillers, and you can use potatoes for all kinds of things. I'm going to eat a lot of salads. I like salad, but
I do not.
there's not going to be any dressing probably for those salads. So that's going to be really
It's
tough.
going to be lettuce and carrots.
Yeah, we're going to have to get really creative on the types of meals that we can eat. There's a ton of different, foods that we can have. Strawberries, grapes, bananas, avocados, broccoli, corn. But how to combine those into a meal that's satisfying, that's going to be the trick.
I know. And having to just eat those foods for a whole week, there's not going to be much variety.
2 weeks. First week.
Oh yeah, 2 weeks.
Because the fourth week, we combine all of the stuff that we've been doing into 1 week of insanity, including this diet. So it's going to be the next 2 weeks that we're doing this. So this is going to be a really crazy week for us. We're going to do a lot of vlog style, so you're going to be able to see everything.
How we
that
prepare
we're
the
doing.
meals, if we go insane,
Which we will.
Probably will.
Yeah. So make sure to stay tuned and come back next week to watch this again, because it's going to be super interesting and exciting to see how it all goes.
We hope you guys enjoyed the second week of us becoming perfectly healthy, and if you did, make sure to drop the video a like and also subscribe. We upload 2 times a week, and you can stay up to date with our challenge. We'll see you in the next one.
See ya.